Agee and I, we talked about this with a guest a long time ago. And we was telling guests, listen, high school players don't understand. Like I remember we would go to college and we would come back home. They don't understand that level. It's a different level. It's different strength. It's different mentality. They don't understand it. It's just like cats that make it to the league and they come back and they playing against college guys. The college guys don't understand that next, because if you ain't been there, there's no way you can get that kind of understanding, man.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
We want to jump into your NBA career, man. You went undrafted in 93. You was in the class you came out with was, you had Weber, Mashburn, Dan Baker, Rodney Rogers.
Hardaway.
Yeah, Hardaway. Calbert Chaney, which a lot of people forget about Calbert Chaney, but he was a beast.
Yep.
How did that process work? Did you work out for teams and what was you hearing about?
I think I worked out for one team, the Milwaukee Bucks, and that was because my agent was good friends with Mike Dunleavy. Gotcha. So he managed to get me a workout with the Bucks. I was blessed. I had a good agent. My agent, Warren Legary is his name. Warren told me early on that I wasn't getting drafted, right? Like, we're not even going to think about that. Like, that's not a thing. So let's prepare to make a team. So didn't get drafted. The day after the draft, just like today, day after the draft, Warren calls me and says, hey, we have these 4 options. Here's why I think we should go here. It was the Lakers. The reason was because he knew that AC Green was leaving to go to Phoenix. So there would be a roster spot at the power forward position with the Lakers. So the Lakers drafted George Lynch, who I'm still super tight with to this day. George and I talk at least twice a week.
We had him on the show.
Yeah, so I got George. George is actually one of the co-founders of my cannabis businesses. So George and I are together connected. Then Nick Van Exel was the other rookie. And Nick was a second-round draft pick, but he was a second-round draft pick by choice. There's a whole bunch of stories behind that. So long story short, though, Nick, we get to training camp, and I was well prepared. I was in great shape. Start training camp, and I told you guys I'm an Uber athlete, and I was willing to go low. So when we get to LA, other guys are going here and going there and going to the beach and doing this and doing that. I'm in my room studying the playbook. So I make it because I knew the plays. So we start Summer League. First 3 games of Summer League, Nick is loving the athleticism. So he's throwing lobs to places that nobody should be able to go get lobs. But I'm going to get them. And so I'm the ooh and ah guy in the Lakers Summer League team. From there, I get invited to training camp. Another one of them sides of basketball that nobody tells you about. When the Lakers signed me, they gave me a $50,000 upfront cash deal, right? So my contract was for $150. They gave me $50 up front. I am a young black dude from Mississippi, right? $50,000. I signed in early July. My check comes late July. $23,000. They done took out FICA and payroll taxes. Ain't nobody tell me about none of that. Nobody tell me I'm trying to pay all of them taxes, man. So I get my check. I go straight to my mom and say, they done robbed me, Ma. They done robbed me. I don't know what happened. They got me for my money. Oh, man. So now also keep in mind, now I only got $100,000 left on my contract, and they're going to take half. So now I got $50,000 left on my contract, but I'm living in L.A.
Oh, that right.
Oh, man, I was so broke after my rookie year. It was ridiculous. I think I owed money. I might have been the only player in the league that owed money.
Hey, Harv, let me ask you this about now, was there a rookie camp and then vet camp?
Yes. So there was a summer league, and they invited me from summer league They signed me, and then they invited me back to vet camp. So I was there in September. So we were there for all of September. Training camp didn't start till October. So it was me, Nick Van Exel, George Lynch, Pancho Hodges, who played at Wyoming. I'm trying to remember. There was a Dexter Boney from UNLV. Ike Williams, I think, from New Mexico, either New Mexico State or New Mexico. But we were all there working out all summer, and we were the 6 rookie training camp invitees, trying to make the final roster. And I can tell you the play that they guaranteed my contract. James Edwards I was guarding him in the post, and I don't know if you guys remember Buddha, but Buddha had a real fadeaway. Like he would lean back and fade way back, and I went up and got it. And Jerry West, like you could see, because we were in training camp in Hawaii, you could hear him audibly, ooh, and then he walked away. And the next day they guaranteed my contract. Like, okay.
You didn't go forward. You just went straight up. You just stayed
straight up. When I tell you guys, and I tell my kids this because they've never seen me play, I was a different level of athlete. Like, and I don't say that to brag. I say it because it was the truth. Like 6'10", 38-inch vertical, and agile. At one point, I was guarding anywhere from the point to the 5. And I could do it, like consistently guard anybody between them 5 positions because I was agile on my feet. I was athletic. I could jump. Now, offensively, I was limited. But on defense, man, there was nothing I couldn't do on defense. So, yeah.
So was you good at, was you able to palm the ball? Did you do a lot of stuff with palming the ball, dunking?
I didn't have strong hands, right?
Okay.
So no, I wasn't good at palming the ball, as is evidenced in my 1995 dunk contest.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that.
Oh man, listen.
But that I'm gonna take up for you though. That's when they changed the format of it. Remember when you had to just keep dunking and they gave you a time limit.
Yeah.
That was when they changed the format, and I ain't like that format, so
Agee, look, dog, I'm gonna keep it 100, dog. I messed that up, man. I can't blame the format. That was all me.
I can't blame the format.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I can make some excuses. Nah, man, I just flow. I didn't step up to the pressure. Right?
That's
literally what happened.
His was crazy though. You literally could have won it though. I mean, legitimately, first dunk, your first like 2-3 dunks. I mean, your first 2 dunks.
So
you're right.
My first two. But so let me tell you how. So again, I got a million stories. I hope you guys don't mind.
No, come on, man.
That's all I got.
Bring them, baby.
So the way I made it to the dunk contest to begin with was we were in Houston, and I was coming off of an injury, and I had just gotten really, really healthy, gotten back to being full health. And we were in Houston, and I made a bet with me. So George and Nick knew who I was and what I was capable of. So we bet some of the veteran players. It was Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac, and a couple of the older guys. We bet them. Here, I'll tell you what the bet was. They could put any coin on the flat back of the rim, and I had to go tell them what the coin was.
Oh, wow.
So West just so happened to be, again, Jerry West just so happened to be at practice that day, and we were messing around with some dunks, and then I did that. And he said, Harv, I'm going to get you in the dunk contest. I said, all right, cool. So they announced it. I worked on 5 dunks.
Ooh.
Like, that's all I had. I didn't work on 6 or 9 or 12. I knew that if I executed my 5 dunks, it was a wrap. So my first dunk was I think it was the 360 windmill. That was, I call that the Skywalker, right? The cuff dunk.
Cuff. Mm-hmm.
Right. The second one was the rock the cradle, MJ.
Yeah.
Third one was Terrence Stansberry.
Yeah, the one
running 360. That's the one I missed.
Off the one leg.
But you know what's crazy? I never missed that dunk in practice. Never.
Really?
It was the one I was like, I ain't got to stress on that one. And I think that's what got me was I didn't stress about it. I kind of laid off of that one and got my timing off. At any rate, then my fourth dunk was going to be, let me see, it was the fifth one was from the free throw line. And then number four, golly, I got to think about it. But let me put it this way. If I had executed all 5 dunks, yes, I would have won the dunk contest. And here's how I know. I never lost a dunk contest ever in my life except for that one. I won it in Europe 3 times. I won the NABC All-Star Game dunk contest in college. I won the only one I ever lost was obviously the biggest one. And that's why I say I didn't step up to the pressure.
Damn!
And imagine.
And I know you had to be kicking yourself because the rounds after that, the dunks wasn't really all like that impressive. You know, they were what they were, but, you know.
I can tell you what the fourth one was. I know what the fourth one was now. I did it in Summer League the summer before. Between the legs, 2 hands backwards. This is, JR had the Oakland Funk thing, but that was a 1 leg, squeeze it underneath. No, this was go up, boom, boom. And I had done it like it was easy. And then I never got a chance to show it.
Hey, look, let me ask you this. Playing with the Lakers, and you're a kid from Mississippi. Was you just in awe when you got out there? Was that aura of Showtime still in the arena with them stars coming there and all that? And how was you taking that in?
Like a kid from Mississippi. Everything you expect a kid from Mississippi to do, that's what I did. It took me a solid 6 months to adjust that's just normal life. Like, LA is go out from Sunday to Thursday, rest Friday to Sunday. Whereas most places you go out on Friday night, Saturday night, then you go to work. Nope. Because it's all Hollywood and athletes. We don't go to the club till Monday night. So Monday through Thursday, you kicked it and you met you met all the people. What I do know, and I can tell you this from seeing it, at that time, the actresses were not off limits at all. Like, I was shocked to see some of the names of some of the girls that were in hotel rooms on the road. Like, stars of the time were essentially they were just
getting their feet right.
Yeah, they was getting it in like we was getting it in. Because you got to remember, man, at the time, if white stars were making $1 million a movie, man, their black counterparts were making $60,000 a movie. You might do 4 movies a year. That's only $250,000 a year. These girls wasn't paid. These dudes wasn't paid. They was just normal people, just like everybody else.
Wow.
And so they was getting it in like we was getting it in. And then after about 6 months, I kind of settled into the routine. And, and I had my crew. It was me and my roommate, George and his roommate. And we were like every day. And so we went out together and then we would hang out together. And then eventually we just stopped hanging out.
Hey, I could picture Harv on Venice Beach like, Mississippi ain't got nothing like this down here.
No, sir. I'm gonna tell you what Mississippi ain't had nothing like.
Damn, Venice Beach.
My rookie year, I went looking for an apartment, right? Went and found an apartment. I'm from Mississippi. $400 a month. 2-bedroom apartment. I'm good. Man, the lady took me on the tour, showed me the apartment, said, I'm gonna get the 2-bedroom joint. We go back downstairs, she writes up the paperwork, passes me the lease. $2,700 a month. I said, oh, hell no. Oh, no. Y'all tripping. Just give me the studio. I'll take the studio. Hey.
He said, studio.
Hey, man. I look back, it was a different time. Okay, I don't mind talking about this stuff now because it's just comedy. But like I said, they gave me 100. They gave me 50 out of my 150 up front. So I only had 100. Half of that's going to taxes. I'm making, $6,000 a month. They want 1,500 of that. In rent, I got $1,000 for my car.
Wow.
Man, I can remember coming home from practice and Gatorade made this drink called a Gator Load. Gator Load was 1,000 or some odd calories in a little can, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a protein shake. Man, I remember taking cases of them protein shakes home so I ain't had to buy lunch. Like, it was bad, dog. It was bad. It was terrible. But people don't talk about that side of it, especially back
really
then.
Don't. They really don't. Even now you don't hear a lot about it. And I'm glad you brought that up too, man. But I want to ask you this first. I want to ask you, man, what was it like when you walked in that locker room and you saw your name on that Laker jersey, man?
Ooh, I think I want to say, I think I'm almost certain it was the day after they guaranteed my contract. It was in the preseason. They guaranteed my contract. I got to the arena. Now my jersey's hitting different because it's mine now, right? They can't take this away from me. I'm going to be here wearing this jersey. I think I went in the weight room and like cried for a minute. Like, wow.
You made it. You did it. You here.
Yeah. Should I still get emotional?
That's real there. That's real.
Yeah. Like, man, we always ask that question, man, because that's what Hoop Dreams is about, man, for us, man, making it to that NBA. And somebody always telling you coming up through that, you ain't gonna, you got other people saying, oh, coaches and this and that, and you fight through, man. And what what's crazy, what people always say is, and think about it, you had two other people in your family to play in the pros, to make it. So there always been role models for us. It's up to us to see those, to know those role models that whatever dream I got, I can make it happen because I've seen this guy do it.
So it's a fight I'm having right now. It's a 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other fight I'm having. I'm the only guy I know that doesn't have his high school jersey retired. The only NBA guy I know that doesn't have his high school jersey retired.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with the place I grew up, an all-white town in Mississippi, right? You would think that they would want to give those young black men every opportunity to see someone who made it from their neighborhood. But they have had 5 opportunities to put me in the Hall of Fame, not in the High School Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. You're not even in the High School Hall of Fame.
I'm in my college Hall of Fame, but not my high school Hall of Fame.
What about the state?
Not in the state. I don't mind the state because there's too many great basketball players that come from the state of Mississippi. I don't think I deserve that. Right?
Really? But you was third team All-American.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm also realistic about who I am. Right? Like I'm realistic, and I know in the state of Mississippi, I'm not an all-time great. I ain't even close. You got to think about Antonio McDyess, Lindsey Hunter, James Robinson, Mahmoud, Laterro. Like I can run them down. There's a bunch of guys, so that doesn't bother me. It's really just my high school, and it doesn't bother me to the point of like what the hell. It bothers me to the point of why not?
Right.
And what they point to is that I was a militant kid, and I was. I overheard my coach call one of my teammates a nigga in practice one day and snapped off my senior year. I missed about 12 games in the middle of my senior year. I had already signed my college scholarship, so I wasn't worried about that. I heard the coach say something he wasn't supposed to say. I snapped off on him. He kicked me off the team. I think we went 5-7 over that span. So they invited me back after that span. But I'll never forget the athletic director calling me into his office and saying that I'll never make it anywhere with that attitude.
Wow.
He said that.
So you won't make it anywhere because you was called the end. You was defending your teammate. So
Yep.
the morals, the value, you know, keeping that kid's character upright, you ain't gonna make it nowhere.
Exactly.
Because you
Well,
think
you know what it did though?
Wow.
All it did was put the battery in the back though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
like I said, if I can remember Don McClain getting the best of me 6 years later, I remember that white dude telling me I wasn't gonna make it because I had the wrong attitude.
Absolutely.
Couldn't wait to get to the league. That's why my jersey's not retired. And I have to accept that because I was built different even back then.
Hey, you know what? It kind of things like that kind of story kind of reminds me of a scene in Hoop Dreams where William had came back from college and was talking to his coach, and the coach was trying to discourage William from even making a commitment to this school. So he's saying certain things to Will. he said this Big Harv. He said, have you talked to the leading Black people on the campus?
And I was like,
Will could have been an actor.
Right.
Will calm. Oh, this is him. This is him laid back calm. He like, but Will know he just said something that they hit Will like, did this motherfucker just say this to me?
I just looked at him. I go like, leading Black people? Because my mind thinking like, my mind going like, are you talking to the leading white? I mean, what do you mean by that?
What does that even mean?
Right. The leading Black people, like what we we got to check in? I'm like, what?
Yes, that's the but it's also to me it's their way of subtly controlling the narrative and the direction, right?
Absolutely.
You're not a good basketball player. You're a good Black basketball player. It's the conditions they put around our intelligence, right? It's the conditions they put around our speech. Like I'm from Mississippi. I used to have people tell me, well, you don't sound like you're from Mississippi. How am I supposed to sound?
Right.
What does that mean?
Right.
What does it mean I don't sound like I'm from Mississippi? Because I actually say the words? What does that even mean?
It's so crazy how people believe that the English language actually belongs to the person who can speak it. That's insane. But speaking of your Mississippi, man, man, my whole family's from Mississippi, man. All the way through Grenada, Tupelo, Jackson, man, all my Houston, all my family from that way, man.
The Great Northern Migration. I tell people, if you're from Compton, California, or Chicago, Illinois, you from Mississippi. Ain't no questions around it. In fact, Snoop Dogg is country than I am.
That's a few people that stopped on their way. They didn't make it quite to Chicago. They stopped in Beloit, Wisconsin.
Yep.
They stayed there.
Stayed in other places, but it's that. And then it was west from Cleveland to Detroit.
Yep.
Right. Get to Chicago and then east and west Cleveland. There. Man, there's so much that I like to talk about. Just like in terms of that kind of stuff. Like I flew my team up. Here's the other reason why they won't retire my jersey. My high school was about 95, 96% white. I'm sorry. Latero's high school, Moss Point, which is 8 miles away, is about 95% Black. When I graduated from high school, my experience in Pascagoula was so bad because of the racism, the underlying racism. When I came back, I didn't come back to Pascagoula. I came back to Moss Point. When I would do things for the high school teams, I would do it for Moss Point first.
Gotcha.
Right? Like I flew the entire team of Moss Point's basketball team post-Katrina because they had lost so much. We flew them up to Portland to play in a basketball tournament. And that kind of thing, I think, pissed off the powers that be at the white high school because it wasn't balanced. Why would you do that for those poor Black kids and not do it for these other kids? But I did it because I am not a graduate of, while I am a graduate of Pascagoula High School, I am still living in this Black skin.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I am obligated to treat that as my priority first and foremost. So,
Interesting.
So I think that has a lot to do with it.
So,
I don't want to we can move on from high school, man. I had a good time. My teammates were great. I'm still close with all of those guys. The high school itself,
give us your short stint in how you got to the Vancouver Grizzlies.
expansion draft. and Matt's heard this story. He's heard me tell this story. I think I was the third pick in the draft. It was Greg Anthony, then this guy from Kentucky that had played. I can't remember his name now, and then me. Went up there. I think I arrived in Vancouver the day after the expansion draft. I was in Vancouver at a draft party when we took Big Country. Like I was trying to really ingrain myself into that Grizzlies culture, and I was playing great. Like, I was regular minutes. I was 24, 25 minutes a game. I think I was about 8 points, about 8 rebounds, somewhere in that range. I was about to get paid. Ego will sneak into your psyche and destroy your life.
Wow.
I got injured, and back then it was 5 games minimum. So if you go on the injured list, you had to sit for 5. Right at the 5-game mark, I was ready to come back. And I let my ego get the best of me. And I told my agent, if they're not ready to take me off the injured list, get me out of here.
Hold on, Harv. I got to ask you, where's an old vet that you can lean on that can see what you're going through and can tell you, hey, young fella, you didn't have no old vet like that around that can me check.
I did.
I see his ego tripping. Let me tell him how to stay in.
I did. It was Kenny Gaddison. In fact, Kenny Gaddison sat me down about 3 games into the season and said, young fella, let me tell you something. This is your job. He was the starter at power forward, and I was backing him up. About 3 games in, he said, young fella, let me be clear. This is your job. I am holding the position until they think you're 100% ready. You're close right now. You just got to keep going. But again, once that ego thing kicks in, there is no stopping that train. Once it leaves the station, there's no vet that can stop you from going on that path and that journey. And that's what I did. I remember calling my agent and saying, hey, man, if they ain't going to play me, get me out of here. Instead of sitting on 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks a game, 1.5, 1.7 blocks a game. I was about to get $40 million.
And helping build a new culture in the northern part of, of the world. Because I'm looking at the Grizzly crowds. Them motherfuckers is packed.
And they loved us. The city absolutely loved us. When I don't know if you guys know, well, part of the reason we're reconnected was because of this young lady named Kat James, who wrote the movie. I think Kat's been on your podcast, right?
Yep. Yeah, Kat. Yep.
So Kat reached out, brought me back up to Vancouver, and it was super cool because my departure happened like kind of on the low, right? I was just there one day and then I was gone. So I never got a chance to express my gratitude to the city of Vancouver. But going back for that, for the debut of the film was perfect because I got to say thank you, right? Because, and I knew I had screwed up, like dumb. Sit your ass down. I'll tell you what, post-European Antonio would have been in Vancouver forever. Like, he would have bought a house in Vancouver and made it home.
Wow.
They would have had to put me out of Canada to get me out of Canada had I known then what I know today. Man, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to be up there. Dude, it's the most beautiful city in the world.
Here's the thing that I can't even understand. It's hard for me to even understand this aspect, man. Here in America, you root for your favorite team. But in Canada, you got a country rooting for you. I mean, you got a whole country.
Whole country. How dumb was I? I was an idiot. I was just young and stupid. I know it now, though.
Hey, listen, let me ask you something. Because this is a teaching moment for all you young guys out there. If y'all listening, and you was in Big Harv situation on the team right now, whatever level it is. Who was the GM? Who was the head coach and the assistant? And did you have a conversation with any of them face to face about your playing time or playing minutes? Do you think, had you been more mature, would you been go back and be able to do that and be able to go from there?
So Stu Jackson was the GM. Brian Winters was the head coach, and the guy Lionel Hollins was the assistant coach that I talked to the most. Great. So Lionel Hollins he came across as an asshole, right?
Really?
And so no, came across. I want to make sure I put that in quotes.
Yep.
Came across.
Came across. Like you don't know him yet.
Yes, not an asshole at all. As a matter of fact, years later, when I was broadcasting, I actually I made it a point to seek him out and apologize. Because, again, Antonio Harvey that went to Europe and came back had a different mindset. Mindset became, dude was trying to help you out, but you were too stupid to see it. KG was trying to help me out, but I was too stupid to see it. Stu Jackson, they all tried to talk me out of that decision. I was hell-bent on doing what I wanted to do. And it was ego. Now, you talk about teachable moments, Agee, I'll give you a teachable moment. We talk about this today in my team meetings at my company. Leave your egos at the door.
Wow.
Right? If you can't come in here and check your ego before you come in this door, can't come in this door. I don't allow words that we don't use. We don't use I. Right? We don't use me. Those are the terms that get the wrong type of attention. We use we and us because the only success we have is our success, not one person's success, not this, we and us. So I encourage young kids now to develop that mentality at a young age, develop a we us mentality. Because, and both of you guys, I think will know this, Scott Williams made $40 million when he left the Bulls. He was arguably 10th best player on that roster.
Yeah.
But he won 3 rings.
Yeah.
The worst player on the best team has more love than the best player on the worst team.
That's true. That's true. Because we love Scott. We love Scott. Hey, listen, he played some vital minutes, man. Scott was huge for the Bulls in them last 3. I mean,
and was ready. Would sit on the bench for the whole first 2 quarters. Oh, I need to put you in for a stretch. He'll come in, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks.
And he wasn't really that healthy either, though.
No ego. No ego. He was about that team, about winning the rings. I stress that. Like I said, my business model is built around no ego. You got to be able to say, I can do this for this team. We're successful because everybody throws their ego to the side. Everybody comes in and does what they do for the betterment of the team.
It's so crazy that, like, our story, me and William's story, is kind of like the same as yours. Just think had you been mature, and like we probably talking about a different Antonio Harvey right now if you stay in Vancouver.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So just think like when we say in the movie, if I stay at St. Joe's and me and Will, I help my man come back from his injury and he like, oh, I can lean on my buddy. Let's go get it.
Yep.
Hoop Dreams is a different movie.
Oh, if Will Gates don't get hurt, Will Gates' life is a different story.
Different story.
Or if Will don't get hurt.
No, but see but that's the part of it though that in you guys' story, that is the part of it that doesn't get the love it should. It's not so much what you did, it's what you could have. What now we know we could have done. Absolutely. Like and you know what's crazy about it though is I don't have any regrets.
Absolutely.
Right? And people ask me that, I'm like, man, I got 4 beautiful kids. I got a beautiful wife. But more importantly, every one of those lessons prepared me for this.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it not because, I'm going to say it because this is the way I think. I'm going to make $1 billion in this industry.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And the only way I'm going to do it is because of everything I learned from basketball. My hoop dream got me here. That simple.
And I'm gonna tell you, just to even add on to that, Harv, I mean, truth, and I've told Agee this a million times. The way that it played out, he needed to go back to Marshall.
Right.
The way it played out, I mean, as crazy as it may sound, I needed to have that injury because I think if those things had not occurred, Agee, I don't think you are where you are. I don't think I am where I am. Just like Harv was telling us, he's not where he is if those things don't happen. I got a beautiful wife, 4 beautiful kids, but I know if I'd have made it to the league,
different game.
Different game.
It's a different game,
man.
Yep.
Different game.
And it's so easy to live with regret. But to me, people who live, what is it? Regret is in the past. Anxiety is in the future. Happiness is in today.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the mentality. That's really the mentality I have now is, man, I can't do nothing. I wish I could have made some decisions different, but only if I could still end up here. But that's not possible.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Hey, Harv, we got a few more questions for you. I know we're taking up so much time, but I just got to ask you this, man, because you had a moment in your career where you met the Magic Man. I mean, he was your assistant coach.
Well, your head coach.
He's
the head coach.
He was your head coach at the time? Well,
he's the head coach,
man,
yeah.
Give us that moment, man. Like, I know you said you was in awe of Jordan, but give us the Magic moment.
So, you know, the Lakers were a West Coast team, and being from Mississippi, first, growing up, we didn't have really a lot of live broadcasts of the NBA, period, during that time. And then with the Lakers being a West Coast team, the games were so late, we missed a lot of them. So I didn't really know Magic like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give you guys the moment that I realized Magic's true greatness. About my first year, late in the season, probably call it 30 games left in the season. Magic comes in as head coach. We go on a great run. I think we won 12 or something in a row, right? But then the newness wore off and we started losing games. One day, Magic comes in the gym. He's got on his weapons and his little hiked up shorts and his practice jersey. And he said, so he put all of the starters, he put the first 7 guys on one team. Then he took him, me, Kurt Rambis, this cat named Reggie Jordan, and
Reggie Jordan from Mexico.
Yes, Mexico. Reggie Jordan, and the 5th, Danny Shays.
Danny Shays.
And him. So it's Magic, me, Reggie Jordan, Danny Shays, and Kurt Rambis. And we're playing against Nick, Sadell Threet, Eldon Campbell, Vlade Divac, George Lynch, Anthony Peeler, Doug Christie, right? The first 7, 8 guys. Magic tells Kurt and Danny every rebound. Harv, Reg, hit the wing.
Like hit that run.
Run. Get on your horses. Okay. If I would have played with Magic Johnson, I would have made 7 All-Star teams. That's all I'm saying. He was that damn good. Like I had never seen. It was literally Kurt, Danny get a rebound. I'm out one side. Reggie's out the other side. By the time I get between the 3-point line and the 12-foot mark, the ball is hitting me in the hands.
Wow.
All I got to do is
go you
vertical.
Can do something with it, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't even got to hardly take a dribble. I just got to catch it, take my 2-step, and go up.
Wow.
And he was throwing these from half court, by the way. Maybe 3/4 court. Or bow, that bounce pass that y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That whole court bounce pass. That shit is real. Magic Johnson that day became that dude to me. Like, okay. Okay. Okay.
What lesson was Magic trying to teach you guys within that moment also?
Oh man, he felt like the team had become too Hollywood, right? The guys were too much into the lifestyle. Yes, and not the game. Because, you know, his teams were into the lifestyle, but they were into the game. And I'm not going to say we weren't into the game the same way. We just weren't as talented. I mean, come on, Buck. you had Byron Scott, AC Green, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like the level of talent around him was a little higher. We had, Eldon, Vlade, Nick, who was the talent level was different. That's really what it boiled down to. But that day, man, I'll never forget it. It was one of them days that I was like, man, I can play in this league in the right situation. Not only can I play, but I can thrive. Because once, and both of y'all hoop, so you know what I'm about to say. Once that thing go through the hoop a couple times, everything go through the hoop.
That confidence, right? that it's a little, what they call it, the glow come across. And you feel like shit.
The shoulders drop back a little bit, and it's like, man, I don't even have to. I'm Steph Curry right now. I'm just letting it fly.
Hey, you know what Tom was saying, Magic? You sure you can't come out of retirement because that's all I heard Tom saying. I need Magic out here with me.
Man, like dead serious. I look at today's league, and if you can't play with LeBron, there's a problem. Right? Like for real. If you can't be on the court next to LeBron James, something's wrong with you. Because all you got to do is make the shot. You don't have to do nothing else. He's going to do everything else for you.
But it's difficult for guys to play with a Magic, a LeBron, those types, and even like Jordans or Kobe's. It's hard to play with them if you're trying to be them.
Right.
You can't be out there. You know LeBron's the point forward, but you want to bring the ball up the court.
Russell Westbrook last year. That's a good point. This year, much better because he's not with LeBron as much. But that's a good point. But what have we been saying this whole time? If your ego is in the game, you can't help me win, man. Absolutely. Yeah, but Magic. And James Worthy impressed me too, man. James was probably 35 at the time, so he was getting up there in age, man. But James could still go. Like I've been blessed to be around some great veteran players. Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper taught me how to play defense.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, it was good times. That's all I can describe it as, guys, is it was a good time to be in the league, to say the least.
I know that's right. Your 1996-97, man, you win the Sonics, and hopefully the league bring them back. But you played with some great players on that team, man. Terry Cummings, Craig Elo, Nate McMillan, Sam Perkins, Deathleth, and of course, this dude was in his prime. Both of them, GP and Shawn Kemp, the Rain Man. What did you take away from that time being with those guys?
Shawn and I, first of all, Shawn is afraid of flying. That's one of the things I took away from it. We were sitting our seats were next to each other on the plane. And you would think he was a 12-year-old the way he held my hand on takeoff and landing. That's a different conversation. You know what I took away from it? I took away from it how great MJ really was. Because
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say you was on that team that had to beat them Bulls.
Yep. That's really what I took away from it. As great as GP was, I don't think he was as great as he could have been. Same thing with Shawn. And this is not a knock on those guys because they both had Hall of Fame careers. And there's no denying that. But I think that they had more to give, so they could have been exponentially greater by taking that last 10%. That last step is the one that takes you from good to great. And I think that they were both okay with being exceptionally good instead of exceptionally great. That makes sense.
Who more than the other?
It's hard to say because they both worked really hard. Like it's not a work ethic scenario. This is just a mentality, scenario. Yeah, like the mentality of that next level, that Kobe Bryant mentality, that MJ mentality. I don't know that they had it, and I think that's what ultimately did them in the finals against the Bulls that year.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing, man. You on a team that's in the damn finals, bro.
Exactly.
Exactly. Who the fuck? Why would I argue with you and say you don't know this and know that? You're sitting in the finals on the bench watching a front row seat to this shit. Like, Harv, like.
It was, you know what? The best part was in practice every day. Because as good as them teams were, only 5 can be on the court. So if Shawn is on the court, that means Sam is in the second unit.
Yeah.
Right? If Det is in the first unit, that means Nate's in the second unit. Hersey Hawkins and versus Nate McMillan every day in practice. You know what I mean? Gary Payton versus Kendall Gill every day in practice. Me and Shawn, and I say that very lightly because Shawn and I were nowhere near each other when it comes to just basketball. And you know, it's one other observation I have, guys, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but to me, there's 2 core types of basketball players. There's the guy who only thinks basketball ever. That's all he'll ever do, all he'll ever be. Then there's the guy, and I think I fit more into this category, basketball was a conduit to what life was actually going to give me. And I knew that early on, right? Because I wasn't drafted. So I had to make basketball into something for me. It wasn't going to be for some other people. Yeah. And so I remember Shawn was more like Shaq in that he was physically gifted, but he was also mean as fuck. Like, for real, nice guy off the court. Like, Shawn and I still close to this day. I went to the opening of his dispensary up in Seattle. Like, Shawn and I still communicate. Great dude. But on the court, he wanted to embarrass you. He wanted you to feel like you never wanted to play basketball again. That was his nature.
Yeah.
And Gary was so gifted that he could give you 95% of Gary Payton was better than 200% of most. Wow. But if we had ever gotten 100% of Gary Payton, who the hell knows what it would have been? It's scary how good that would have been.
Have you ever seen any point guard talk more than Gary Payton during the game?
No. Well, Dale Brown, my high school 2 guard, he talked more than yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, Gary's talk, I've heard all of that before, dog. So you got to bring something better than that. My point guard had that kind of talk. Give me something better, Gary.
I hear that. Hey, what about that team you played with? I mean, man, you played with probably, you know, the top, at least 25 of the top 50 greatest players ever. That Portland team you was on, man. I mean, Steve Smith, Rasheed Wallace, Mighty Mouse, Damon Stoudemire, Scottie Pippen, Jermaine O'Neal, Strickland. I mean, I can't even imagine what those practices must have been like. What was that like?
Did you mention Jermaine O'Neal?
I mentioned Jermaine O'Neal.
Okay, J.O. Brian Grant.
Yeah, I didn't mention Grant.
Did we mention Stacey Augmon?
I forgot about the thin man.
The plastic man.
How about Greg Anthony?
Oh, Greg Anthony was on that squad too, bro.
Right? Like, yeah, it was a whole other level of good. I would say, you know, the thing that I tell people is sometimes you have to be able to see, again, ego. As good as we were, we still could not get past our egos.
Y'all had a lot of egos on that team, man.
We had a lot of egos.
Hold on. Egos now, but who was y'all leader? This why I feel. This is what I feel. I felt like that the leader of that team, to me, was supposed to be, and I think the team would say it would be Scottie. Scottie got the rings. Scottie got the rings, and he done been in mature situations in playoff situations.
But so Scottie came in wrong though, Agee. They brought him in wrong.
And you gonna cut me off.
Because it's true. Deflet was supposed to have that was Deflet moment. They brought in Scottie.
Actually, they came. I'll give you guys a quick history on that squad because there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. Remember, they made it to the Western Conference Finals versus Utah before they brought Scottie in. So they played Utah one year, and then the next year they brought in Pip, and they traded Kelvin Cato and J.R. Ryder and a whole plethora of guys to bring in Pip. In fact, that's how I got back in. They traded 6 guys to Houston and brought in Scotty. And so that opened up 5 roster spots. That's how I got back in the league. But it wasn't our first year that really did us in. It was the second year. So the first year we lost to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, and that was the game when Shaq and Kobe and the lob and all of that stuff. But then that summer we traded Jermaine for Shawn. That was a bad trade. No, we traded Jermaine for Dale Davis because Dale had some success versus Shaq in the previous year's NBA Finals.
That's right, in the Pacers. That's right.
Yes.
The Dale
so they brought Dale in, and then they traded Brian Grant for Shawn Kemp. But BG was going to leave anyway. So I think the long and short of it is Detlef retired the second year. He was gone. Mm-hmm. So we had a rotation of, it was, it was Damon and Greg at the point. It was Smitty and Bonzi Wells at the 2. Mm-hmm. It was Scotty and Ice at the 3, Stacey Augmon. It was Rasheed Wallace and a little bit of and Shawn Kemp at the 4. And then it was Arvidas and Dale Davis at the 5. So we had a solid rotation. And then we had some, like guys like me that fill in where we needed to fill in. Bob Whitsitt decided to bring Detlef back about 50 games into the season. So immediately you disrupt Stacey Augmon's playing time, which disrupts the chemistry of the team because we had great chemistry. One move disrupted chemistry. But then Rod Strickland was being released by Washington, and Bob Whitsitt was so afraid that he was going to go to the Lakers that he signed him. Now you've disrupted Greg Anthony's playing time. Yes. Yep. Right. So 40% of your rotation has been disrupted. 40% of your chemistry has been disrupted. The net result was we lost 22 out of the last 25. When he made that Rod Strickland deal, and again, no knock on Rod, to be clear. Rod is a hell of a human being. Like, I ain't putting none of this on him at all. Rod is a great dude and a great hooper. But the chemistry we had got disrupted by 2 moves. We were the number 1 team in the league, and we dropped to 8th in the West in the last 30 games. All on 2 moves.
Damn.
But I'm going to tell you, though, Scottie Pippen, great dude. Pip would call me and say, he called me one time and said, Harv, what size shoe you wear? I said, I think I'm a 16. He said, oh, cool, I'm a 16. I got some extra shoes if you want them. Dude, he gave me the shoes, and you look on the little label, they didn't say size 16. They just said Scottie Pippen.
The whole name?
Stop playing with me. That was the size of the shoe. The size of the shoe
was his whole name.
Scottie Pippen. I said, this shit's crazy.
Hey, you know what that's like, Agee? It's like when people say, man, what size are those? They're size me.
Like, that was the first time I'd actually heard somebody say that and be able to be real with it. Like, no, those that's my size. What do you mean it's your size? Look at the label. Look at the label. The label will tell you what size they are.
Gotta love it, man. Tone, how's your time, man?
Man, I'm good. My wife just brought me a charger. My phone was dying, but man, I'm enjoying it. So I'm good whenever you guys are good.
Okay, because we just want to hop into your post-career, man, and really just talk about, man, your transition from the game and going into what you're doing now. Particularly your transition. You talked a little bit about it earlier, that you kind of settled in to your role. And I think in a lot of ways, I was a lot like you on that too. I knew at a certain point that, man, basketball ain't going to be it. So I'm going to try to hold on to it as much as I can. But I still went through a phase when I left the game. I was like, man, every time, preseason started, my body was like, it churned up. Like everything in me wanted it back. So how was that mental separation for you?
So the initial retirement didn't even count as a retirement because I think I was out of the game for about 6 months when I got the broadcasting job. So I was blessed and went straight into broadcast and did that for 11 years. The second retirement was a little more difficult. I'll be honest. I think I went through about a year and a half of what I would call a version of depression. I think to the outside world, just like people who are depressed say it all the time, you don't even know it. Because what I'm presenting you is what I want you to see. But at my core, I had lost the only thing I had ever known, even though, and it was voluntary. Like they didn't put me out. I chose to leave because I wanted to be home. So I've got, I think I mentioned it earlier. I've got 4 kids. My older 2 kids are by my first wife. They are 26 and 23 now. Then my wife had a son. He's 20. And then I've got an 11-year-old. About to be 12. I missed my daughter, especially. I missed her entire high school career. She was a 4-year starter in soccer, 3 state championships, right? Never got to saw a game. She's playing now. She's still playing in Turkey. And we talk more today than we did when she was a kid because I was hustling, trying to be a basketball guy. So when Oregon legalized cannabis and the opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer. Because to me, it was me being dad again, right? For my youngest. I couldn't do anything to get back what I had given away with the older kids, but I could at least try to make it right this time. So as soon as, and my wife's family grew up growing trees. So it was like, that's a no-brainer. She knows how to do it. It's legal. We've got the wherewithal. Let's make it happen. So we dove in, and that was 2016. So going on 7 years ago, we started out in a 1,200 square foot barn that we retrofitted. And if you guys have ever been in a cannabis grow, it's, you got to redo the walls. We did all of that ourselves. Every nail, every screw, it was me and my wife. For home games, I would get up in the mornings, drop the kids off at school, go straight to the farm, work till about 3 o'clock, get off work, be home by 3:30, shower, get dressed, prep for the game on my way to the arena. Do the game, get off at midnight, and do it all over again. That became my routine, but it got us started. So we did that. We were in that building for a year. We outgrew it quickly, we doubled in size. We were in that building for a year, and then we tripled in size. And we had a lot of learning. It was a lot of lean years. The thing about the cannabis market that people don't realize is it's great when it's illegal because there's very few people trying to do it. But the minute they give a license to you and it's legal, everybody thinks it's it's easy money. It's not.
It's not.
Right? Like when we started, we were seeing $2,500, $2,700 a pound. 18 months later, it was $600 a pound in Oregon. Right? And there's no way to a business plan around that much of a drop.
Yeah.
Right. Can't do it. But it taught us a lot. So now, we went from 1,200 to 24, and now we're in about 10,000 square feet. But I can grow a pound of flower now for about $350, and it's premium flower. So we learned from all the mistakes to get down to this number that's no matter what the market does, we're always going to make money.
So let me ask you this. So now since you learned, the thing is that those things, you had to go through those things to know what you know now.
It's funny how that story keeps repeating itself out over life, right?
Yeah.
As much as it hurts in the moment, you need it.
Yeah.
You need it to be where you want to go. And if it doesn't happen, it's because you didn't need it. Like that's fate and karma. If you didn't, my younger brother used to, and y'all know these, the gas heaters in the house. You know what I'm talking about? You had the kid right? Well, we had those growing up, and my grandmother used to tell my little brother, don't touch the heater, it's hot.
That's right.
Sure enough, his dumb ass will touch that heater.
That's right.
He gonna touch it anyway.
Listen,
Gonna touch it anyway.
I think we all done touched them.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But you learn not to touch that heater by going through the fire. And that's what we did. We went through the fire and came out of that on this side like, man, we can grow $350 a pound. We know that the market's never going to do that again. So we're ready.
Got another
Right.
question for you. Since you've been in
Yep.
the business, did you have to deal with any racism?
Not directly. I won't say it was direct. I will say that it's no more racism than the racism I dealt with my whole life.
Okay.
Right? Life prepared me for it.
So my next question is, and I believe this wholeheartedly, that they say, well, there's not enough, a lot of African American companies, people that's coming into the game, because they have set the rules up to where whatever these people have done in their past life,
Mm-hmm.
they can't get this license. They can't get this certificate. They can't get this license. Like it's almost $500,000 that you would even have to come out your pocket just for them to say that you are legal.
Just to apply. That's the application fee. Is $500,000 in some states.
Wow.
And
application fee.
And keep in mind, that's a non-refundable application.
That's the thing, Will. We don't get it back, Will.
And that can be rejected.
Yes. But they ain't gonna give you back that $500,000. They're gonna keep that part. So there are players in the game now that are beginning to surface. We have to do the black, just like Black Twitter, Black cannabis has to do a better job of coming together. We're not doing that, right? I have personally, I have sought out partners, minority partners, Black in particular, to be a part of what we're doing. So after we did the growth thing about about 2 years ago now, we transitioned. We merged with a company that has this great science. So I can give you a cannabis beverage that hits you like you're smoking, but there's no smoke involved. Because, edibles can take time to get into your system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these beverages are in your system in about 4 minutes, 5 at the most. Same buzz, same high, same everything. We can make it for cheap, so we can sell it. Like most cannabis beverages on the market today are $8 a unit. We sell ours for about $2.50, $3. Right? And we're naming it after alcohol because we're going after the alcohol industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeking. So anybody listening to this podcast, find my information, give me a call, send me a text, whatever it is. We are seeking partners in other states that want to utilize our technology to help us expand. I'm more than happy, particularly minorities. That's my objective.
And so what they will be doing you would be licensing your product to them.
Yep. And we know how to do it. We have a company that will print the cans. We can ship the cans to you. We have canning partners all over the country already. We are ready, set to be a national brand. What I need is people who want to say, I want to take that ride with him. Now here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to give you my company. Part of the problem we run into is, and you guys are both former athletes, so my name is worth. Well, I don't want to pay you for your name. Right. I want you to invest in my company and be an owner of something and help me blow it up. That's what I want. If I want to just name, I can pay somebody to be a name. Right. I want partners that are willing to come in and say, yeah, Harv, I got $100,000 to do this in Florida, or $500,000 to do it in Florida, whatever the number is. Let's have a conversation. Right. And let's figure out how to do it there, and let's blow this thing up. But that's my objective.
Big Hard, let me ask you this, and I'm quite sure this is a question that most of our users will want to know in the cannabis industry. What level are you playing on? Are you the farm? Are you the dispensary? What is there different level? It's different levels to this. Whereas,
Yes. So we're a farm. So a farm considered a producer. That's where I am today. So we have a farm and we produce our own flour. I wish I was on my phone. I could take you guys out to the out to the garden so you can see how we grow. My wife does an unbelievable job of growing, but we're also a brand maker. So we make brands. We have right now. We have Deviate, which is an alcohol alternative. We have a Long Island iced tea and a Moscow Mule. We have a El Hempe, which sits in two worlds. We have an El Hempe Spirits, which is a tequila-based product that has terpenes like weed, but there's no weed in it. So it's tequila with terpenes, but it tastes like a hibiscus or something. You know what I mean? So it's really a mix of everything. Then we've got Harmonic, which is a sparkling rosé that's really geared towards women. We've got Legends, and I want to make sure that I get you guys this information. I'll send you some of the Legends products. So Legends is a CBD-infused pre-workout drink. So imagine all of the BCAAs and all of the stuff we took when we were working out, but we put in about 25 milligrams of CBD to help with the inflammation. Then we have a post game that does the same thing. And then for that cat, and I think it's going to be you, Agee, from what I'm hearing, we got that one drink that just gets you there. Rocket science, baby. We take you all the way to the moon.
Hey, let's go. Let me tell you something.
Let's go, baby.
Hey, Big Harv, I was going to ask you because, me and William trying to do some things, and he didn't have, he can't hoop no more. All he can do is shoot. So do you have something that he can drink and to make his knees feel like I'm happy again, baby? My knees feeling good. Agee, throw that lob up to me.
Well, let's not throw the lobs now. We ain't gonna go back there, fellas. That days is past us. Let's not get beside ourselves. We'll see. We'll be in a different type of chair the next time we see him. So we don't want to do that.
Right. That's right.
But though we do have a topical cream that is CBD based that does a wonderful job. Like I said, I'm gonna get you guys a care package. In fact, I'm gonna throw this one out there, man. I want to see my cans right there behind you. Will, both of y'all, give me time. We'll see how we can get a sponsorship on your show. Like, I think that should be a real thing.
I got to get you one of them right there, baby.
There we go. I think we should look at that, fellas, and we'll talk to the powers that be to try to make that happen.
Yeah, we should do that because we can put it right there. I got a spot for it already.
And like I said, we've got 5 different brands in the cannabis space, not including our flower. With the flower, we've got 6, and we've got more coming. If a guy called me from, let's say, Illinois, and they wanted to do a beverage in Illinois, we can do that beverage. We can do it better and less expensive than anybody they know. All they have to do is be willing to market their beverage because it's not my beverage. It's your beverage, right? And if you don't like the way I do business, you can take your beverage someplace else because you own it.
Right. You ain't
versus if I pay you to be an endorser and I don't like the way you're endorsing my product,
you could just cut ties.
I can cut ties.
Yeah.
Right? To me, I wish somebody had told me that when I was playing. Like, man, have you guys heard the story from Spencer Haywood? Spencer Haywood tells a great story about how he lost $340 million.
No. Didn't hear that story.
Spencer, he tells it from his own mouth?
From his own mouth. I want you guys to Google this, but I'm gonna put a synopsis out there. Phil Knight went to Spencer Haywood in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Said, hey, we want to give you 10% of Nike to be our number one paid sponsor. This is in the 80s. I think it was either Adidas or Converse or whoever it was came in and said, we'll give you $50,000 to be a paid endorser. He took the $50,000 versus the 10% of Nike. Do that math. Right? So again, we talk about that ego and learning.
Yeah.
I'm not telling guys to invest in my company. I'm telling you to invest in your company and just let me make the drink. My job is to manufacture for you but you own your company. You own everything. And if you, at some point in the future, don't like what I'm doing, leave. But you've created a brand.
Mm-hmm.
You've created everything you need to go to someplace different and do the same thing. But my confidence in me is so high, I'm willing to do that. I believe that I can create for you what nobody else can or will. You just got to be willing to believe in me. And I say that with so much passion because that's how I feel about it. That's where I am with it.
Hey, Will, it sounds like he on the basketball court. Ain't
I know,
like he
right?
trying to like, hey, Will, like, and we talking about straight business.
Listen,
like,
I'm gonna tell you what he doing right now. He coaching. That's what he doing.
Hey.
He coaching. He looking like, listen, guys. Hey, I ain't got the uniform on. But when you put it on, this is what I need you to do. I mean, he coaching. He coaching right now. I love it, man, because it's that next level. You're teaching ownership, and we're not often taught that. I mean, too many guys, man, they have wasted a lot of money not recognizing that they could have been the owner.
My thing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, Tom, man, we could talk about this so much, man. Gosh.
Yeah.
But we want to be respectful of your time, man. We've had you on there for a couple of hours already. My man got one final question for you, but you probably already done answered it. But I know you probably got another story to go with it. So you got to, man. But my man got another question. One more question for you.
What's the next chapter in Antonio Harvey's hoop dream?
Ooh, let me think about that. So the next chapter in my hoop dream is for the world to forget I existed.
Wow.
Mm.
You got to break that down.
I don't want to be Antonio Harvey. I want to be Ariana Harvey's dad. Right? Because now my next generation has become so great that I've been forgotten about.
That's right.
That's the next dream. That's the next part of my dream, is that my kids go so far beyond what I did that nobody remembers what I did.
Absolutely.
That means I did my job. That means I have accomplished my goal. And then nobody has to see me ever again. Like I don't live for the fame. I don't need the accolades. Man, I am so good in my skin now that all I care about is the success and the well-being of the people in my sphere, starting with my children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I did this show because our guy Matt is a friend. But, and it's not a knock on the show. It's to say I don't live for that love from the world anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I live for my children, my wife, my family. So the next chapter in my hoop dreams is for me to disappear because the next level has made me forgettable. That means I did my job.
But I tell you this, man, I'm so glad you was on the show today, man, because you dropped so many nuggets that, particularly in our community, we all too often don't get to hear, man. We don't get to hear, how to overcome and fight through and be okay with where you are in life and continue and grow and build from that. We don't hear about, hey, how many times you've heard a guy say, man, I'm more concerned about, my family's next level, that it ain't about me anymore, especially for my athletes, because you talked about it all day. The ego, it stays there. So, man, I'm so glad you were on the show today because, man, I learned a great deal. I know Agee learned a great deal, man, but the nuggets you were dropping today, man, priceless.
Can I drop one more quick gem? And it's something that, this is not mine, so I don't want to take credit for it. This is the amalgamation of everything that my mother and my grandmother ever taught me. So I flunked out of University of Georgia, barely made it to college. I had a 2.0 GPA coming out of high school, so I barely got in, right? All of these things working against me. So when I flunked out of University of Georgia, just like anybody else that's 19, 20 years old, me, my mom, my older brother, we had a crying session. That's what we do. We get it out. My grandmother came in and she gave us some wise words. She said, "You guys got 30 minutes, right? Get that out, and then what's next?"
What's next?
The visual that taught me, and the visual that I associate with that, is real simple. If you live in Gulfport, Mississippi, there's a highway between Gulfport and Jackson, Mississippi. It's a straight line, Highway 49, right? I always envision my grandmother telling me, if you're on Highway 49 and there's a stop blocking the road, most people get so caught up in the obstacle that's in front of them that they don't consider the thousands of alternate routes you could take to get around and still end up in the same place. That one. That's the one. The obstacle isn't really real. It's just an illusion that you have to imagine, and you have to be willing to imagine what's on the other side, then fucking go get it. Last piece of the puzzle for me right there. Do not let that obstacle hold you back.
There it is. Y'all heard it.
Yeah. See, man, off a talk like that, I need me one, man. Damn, hey, roll me one. Hey, roll a fatty up, man. Roll a fatty one up, man.
Roll them joints up, man.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic. I'm as fly as a feather. My pocket's macroscopic. See, with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison. Your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me. I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffer, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah.